Happy Vlogmas Day 2 everyone, I'm Becky Butworm and I'm here today to do a wrap up. I haven't done one for absolutely ages, so I'm going to get stuck in and see how much I can remember about the books I read months ago. I'll try and make this quick. First up is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Bloody loved it. For those that don't know, where have you been? This is a very popular book on BookTube. It's about a lady called Eleanor. She's not very sociable. She goes into work, she does a good job, she goes home and she has specific things. She has a very strict routine. One day that routine gets thrown up in the air when her and somebody else from work witness a gentleman falling over in the street, and the story goes from there. Don't really want to tell you anymore if you haven't read it because it's so interesting to watch it unfold, and I find Gail Honeyman concentrates on the really everyday small mundane things that Eleanor has to deal with, and we're in Eleanor's head and where we can see what she's thinking and what's happening, and it's just an absolutely wonderful story. And whilst it does deal with some dark subjects, I found it was done in such a way that it was very balanced and it didn't make me feel too depressed, but also you really cared for Eleanor and you really wanted her to be okay. It was just an absolute delight. Next is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. This is a book about a load of writers who get invited to this Kill Creek, which is a supposed haunted house in this tiny town, I think, or it's in the countryside, and weird stuff starts happening afterwards. They go in there and yeah, afterwards stuff just happens. Not going to say more than that, you're probably going to hear that a lot from me. But this is a horror novel. It is very good. I enjoyed it, and whilst there was nothing mind-blowingly amazing in the story, I did find it really exciting and quite tense to see as everything unravelled as the story moved forward. I wanted to know what was going to happen and why this stuff was happening. So it was really enjoyable. It wasn't terrifying by any means, but definitely enjoyed it, and I think I read that around Halloween, so that was good. Jacobi by William Ritter. I really enjoyed this. I can't remember whose channel I saw this on first, but it made me order it and I managed to get a second-hand copy, which is always good. And this is a story of Jacobi, who's kind of a supernatural Sherlock Holmes figure, and he meets, what's her name? I think it's set in Victorian England, from what I can tell. And there's a lady called Miss Rook, I believe, and she ends up meeting him and going for a job as his assistant, and they both go off into the world and they turn up when murders happen or weird occulty magical things happen. They find out and turn up, and like I said, he's very much a Sherlock Holmes of the supernatural world, but I just found the character so likeable, so enjoyable to read, and the story was very interesting as well. And I found out that that's not the only book in the Jacobi series, if that's what it's even called, so I'm going to get the others because it was really, really enjoyable. We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This is the story of a rock band that become very, very successful, and it turns out there was a pact with the devil, and there's the person that left the band. Wait, that's not right, is it? Rewind. This is the story about somebody who used to be in a band that he's now very successful as a solo singer, and there's things about selling souls going on, and one of the people that used to be in the band with him recognises that something is up, something's going on, and she goes to try and find him and figure out what's happening. And I don't want to say any more than that. Again, it's going to spoil it if I do, but if you think of the old We Sold Our Soul band kind of trope, and it's like that but then some, and it was just really good. Grady Hendrix is a brilliant writer. I love My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I've got, what's the other one, the Paperbacks from Hell, really good. That's a non-fiction really, but Grady Hendrix's writing is just enjoyable, and even though the subjects he chooses are quite common, like My Best Friend's Exorcism was exorcisms, and this one is soul-selling heavy metal bands, you know, they could come across as overused and boring, but the way he writes it, it's just very interesting. I reread Let the Right One In by John Lindqvist. Is that how you say his name? Lindqvist. For those that don't know, this was also a film, and then it was remade in America. Don't know why they bothered to remake it because the original's amazing. But this is the story of a little boy who has no friends really, he's not very well off and he lives in this block of flats, and one day he meets Eli. She's a little girl who not is all as it seems, and he's getting bullied, and they form an unlikely friendship, and Eli teaches him to stand up for himself. And this again is a supernatural book. I'm not going to spoil it by telling you anymore if you don't know, but thoroughly enjoyable. John Linkvist is an amazing writer. The worlds that he builds, everything's so bleak and so dark, and I just, even though I'd already read it, I found myself just really sucked back into it, even though I knew what was going to happen. I've seen the film so many times, I've read the book twice now. It was just very enjoyable, but there were some elements of the book that I had completely forgotten about because I'd watched the film quite a lot, and some of the scenes described were quite disturbing, so just be prepared, there's quite a lot of body horror in this book. Saga Volume 9 by Brian K. Vaughan. I've been waiting for this for so long, so excited when I managed to get it and was blown away. I can't really tell you what happens in this volume because we're 9 volumes along, but the premise from the beginning is 2 beings from different, they're not races, different alien races, I guess. They're at war separately, but these 2 unlikely come together, fall in love, have a kid. Now there's conspiracies going on at all sides and they are being hunted down, and that is where we followed them from the beginning and everything that's happened. And this is just such an amazing series. It's very diverse. It deals with lots of difficult topics that graphic novels usually don't look into, and the writing is just great. There's a few volumes that weren't quite as amazing as the rest of them, but overall it's just so good. So if you haven't picked up Saga yet, please do. Ooh, really good. Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. I've read a lot of supernatural books, you could tell this was around October. But Strange Practice is the story of, what is her name? I'm going to have to look on the phone because I've got a terrible memory. Greta Helsing, because of course, who's her dad? Van Helsing, I think it's a dad or a granddad. So Greta Helsing is a doctor to supernatural beings, so vampires, werewolves, ghosts, mummies, they're all real, and now and again they need a bit of upkeep. They might need a doctor, they might have a cough, they might have things that are relevant to their species, and they need somebody to look after them, and Greta is there to help them. But somebody is starting to kill off vampires and other supernatural beings, and nobody knows why, because these beings live along with society and don't cause a ruckus, but somebody is hunting them down, and they seem to be from a religious sect, so she's trying to help them to find out why, also because they come after her as well. I'm not going to say anything else, but that, thoroughly enjoyable. I know I keep saying that about all of them, but an enjoyable romp through London. So this, yeah, sorry, I forgot to say this is set in London, so it was really good. You could tell the writer really knew London very well. There was quite a lot of descriptions of London, and whilst I'm not massively aware of all the tiny bits of London, I thought the descriptions really took me there, and I really felt like I was in the story. Finally, Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't know if you watched my video a while ago, but I read Signal to Noise, which she wrote, which was recommended to me by a beautiful booktuber. This one is a vampire story. So we have, oh my god, I can't even remember. Why can't I remember this? So Mexico City is a city where vampires are not allowed. Everyone knows vampires exist. They are in different countries. They're out internationally. But Mexico City has banned them. There's a homeless boy who he lives his own life, and he is very good at not being seen, and one day he meets a very glamorous girl and her dog on the underground, and they become unlikely friends, and it turns out she's a vampire and she's on the run from something, and it's just very good, the world building, and it was really good to read something not set in America or London. There was a lot of history behind the different types of vampires that were in the book that I really enjoyed, and the story was very fast paced, and even though there's quite a lot of characters, it was quite easy to keep up with because everyone was so individual, everyone was really well rounded out. So I definitely want to pick up some more of her books because these two that I've read were just great. So I'm not going to waffle on anymore. That is it for the wrap up from me. I will be back tomorrow with another video. If you want to give me a chat. If you want to have a chat down in the comments, feel free. I really like discussing things. I'm here on YouTube because I want it to be part of a community, so let's have a chat. Give me a like and please subscribe if you want to, and I'll be back tomorrow. Happy Vlogmas. Bye.